Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Larp. I'm Faye, and today I'm here to tell you how I became a Lich. So, I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while because I think being a villain or an antagonist in a LARP when you're not an NPC can be very difficult to accomplish without the characters feeling cheated or like you turned on them out of game as well as in game. I know a couple of people who have done antagonistic things in LARP, and it's gone badly for them because the person felt attacked. So that's part of what I want to talk about is how to be a villain in LARP. I have done it a couple of times now where I have ended up working against the best interests of the people that I was LARPing with. Or at least not against the people I was LARPing with, but against the town that the characters that I was LARPing with. Both times involving liches, strangely enough. I don't think my friend Sky is gonna ever let me near a lich again. He's just not gonna be able to not metagame. He's gonna see a lich and just grab me by the ear and drag me away, because he's been involved in both of these scenarios. So yeah. So first of all, let's talk about how I became a lich. So Compass Rose has recently undergone some change in structure, and we've had to move to a new location. And so to kind of get things back on track, give the storytelling team time to rearrange and readjust their plans for the season, July game was a one-off of a mod that some of the players had written that they would like to try and run. And so the mod was called The First Necromancer, and we were told that we were going to be on the road to the human town of Penente. And so as we're on the road and we're heading into this town called Blackwater. And Blackwater is pretty much inaccessible 90% of the year because their swamps are so bad around the town. And it's just, for some reason, it's people die in this town. You know, we heard rumors as we were heading into town, if we had, the specific skill to learn rumors, that people died in weird ways going into this town. Some guy would be found just completely rigid, straight up, head down in a swamp, feet in the air. People were speared in the hearts by trees somehow. There's just a lot of weird death in this town. But we were going to go there anyways. So off we go. I'm playing a Slua, which is the opposite of Amaranth, who I played at Compass Rose, who is a Sede. Now the Slua are bound by their kind of compulsion to obey the Sede. And my Slua was no exception. She had a master who had a gambling addiction. And he gambled himself into a hole with a very dangerous Gemna who had Gemna are really you pay your debts. If you don't pay your debts to a Gemna, you're gonna be in trouble. So my character ended up being traded to this Gemna to pay off the gambling debts, because he had a buddy who wanted to experiment on fair folk to try and find weaknesses and things that they could do, and her master was oblivious to this fact. He just wanted to pay off his debts and not be killed by these Gemna. So that was 7 years in my character's past. She was 16. She's in her early 20s now, and she's escaped this Gemna. And so she's on this town. She's on the run. She's heading to Penente, and where she's going to appeal the bank or appeal somebody to help her get back to Fair Folklands, get back to her people. So she's on the run, she's trying to find safety, and she ends up in Blackwater. And in Blackwater, they're just starting to celebrate a festival. And they're very excited about this festival. It's this big thing every year. Apparently it's an annual festival. And the people are a little strange. And so one of the earliest things that happened in the day is there was a lottery. And they were offering to let us enter the lottery, and they wanted us to get involved. And it just seemed strange. So my Slua, interacts with some of these townsfolk, and she's like, so how does this lottery work? And they're like, oh, well, the winner, you enter the lottery and there'll be a winner. And, well, what does the winner win? Oh, well, they wear this flower crown. And I'm like, yeah, but what do they win? And the person goes, oh, well, they get to find peace. Well, that sets off a light bulb. These people are going to kill the winner, or the winner's going to die somehow. And all the rumors about death around this town suddenly are starting to make sense. So there's been this kid running around, this 4-year-old kid who's being played by obviously an adult player. And she's got, she's talked some Kaltuni into giving her candy, and she's just, generally making a 4-year-old nuisance of herself, being very sweet and innocent. And she wins the lottery. And I'm already kind of expecting that this character is going to die, that the winner of this lottery is going to die. The rest of the people hadn't quite figured this out yet. Some people had, some people hadn't. And so when the town all of a sudden, beats and stabs this child to death, there's some shock. There's some pretty serious reactions to that. And, so yeah, they beat this kid to death, and it becomes very apparent, okay, this is a festival of people being killed. Whoopee. So we find out the mayor's going to be in town. And people are like, okay, what's going to be up with this mayor? This seems kind of crazy. This town is weird. Maybe the mayor will be weird. Well, the mayor's a lich. And so he comes into town, and people are like, oh, okay, that's a thing that's happening. So other people are kind of getting onto this mayor's case and asking him questions and asking, bugging the people of the town, how do you think this is okay, what you're doing? My character's just kind of staying back, staying out of the way. But she's definitely not, enthused about this festival. And then she starts to think. So there's other stuff going on. There's a couple of contests and this and that and the other thing. And my character actually offers to loan her dagger to someone who wants to use it after they win a game and get to go to peace. And the people are very, they're very into this. This is this has been generations of people in this town have followed these teachings and followed this festival. So they're pretty, ingrained in this. And so my character actually loans her blade, or offers to loan her blade. They end up using a different one. And she's really starting to think about this Lich and about the power he has. And the fact that someone that powerful is never going to be hurt like she was hurt. And so she talks to one of the townsfolk who's gotten in with the mayor after this guy, dies. And she goes, I want to talk to your mayor, privately. And so she gets herself a meeting with the mayor. And the mayor comes back into town, and they sit quietly in the tavern, and she says, I want to be a lich, or at least I want to figure out this magic that made you all powerful and immortal. And the mayor asks her some questions. He really wants to figure out her intentions and make sure she's not going to fall into darkness, because for a lich, he's pretty up and up. He's still got his mind, which is rare for liches, especially liches as old as him. So he's still got a grip on his sanity, and he wants to go to rest. He's at a point where he's done. He doesn't want to be a lich anymore. He feels he made a grave mistake. Ha ha ha. Lich humor. But he feels he made a mistake, and he wants to go to rest. And he's actually threatened the people who are visiting town. He says, I'll just kill you all if you don't bring me the pieces of my phylactery so that they can be destroyed and I can go to rest. And so she is like, what do you want? I believe these people are going to try and betray you. They don't care if you go to rest. They feel like you should be punished. But they want to stop what you're doing to this town. And so the Lich views this idea that these people might betray him as very valuable. And he says, well, if you ensure that all the pieces of phylactery are brought together, and we are on the path to destroying it, and the townsfolk are not betraying, or your friends that came from out of town are not going to betray me, then I will, share with you some of the information you need. He's not going to take her the whole way, but he's gonna give her the starting point of becoming a lich. Anyways, they collect all the pieces of this phylactery, and they trot down to this ritual circle, fanaticism. And they're going to use fanaticism to destroy the phylactery. Now, there's one of the Kaltuni has got other information about how they need to destroy the phylactery, but by the time, and so she and I go down. My character's quite concerned because she's concerned that this phylactery isn't going to get done right, or that it's going to get done and she's not going to have got her information from the Lich. So the Lich actually comes down with them to find out what's going on. And this Kaltuni has information about how this has to be done properly, but they're already in the ritual circle by the time they get there. They've sealed the circle. And when they come out of the circle, we find out that the phylactery wasn't destroyed. It was just given to fanaticism and essentially locked into the ritual circle, which means the Lich is not going to get to rest unless they get it out of the ritual circle. And, it becomes apparent that this character, this aberration named Freep, had betrayed everyone and that he was working against the town, and it was all very entertaining. And so people are flipping out, and the Lich tries to kill Sky's character, who was participated in this ritual and didn't realize that he was handing over the phylactery to the circle. And Freep is doing his meditation, because one of the things that they allow you to do in this game is recharge your energy source. And so Freep is a Theurge. She can commune with circles, but he needs to recharge his energy source. So he makes himself kind of in an invisible barrier, and he's recharging his energy sources. And my character doesn't want to be left out of the ritual circle again. She wants to make sure that this phylactery gets, snagged, and that the Lich gets what he wants, because she wants what she wants. And so that she kind of edges her way into the circle and is just quietly standing there as people argue and yell at each other, and the Lich is yelling at people for being idiots, but he's also standing in the circle, as is one of his monsters. And so Freep comes out of his meditation, looks around, sees that my Slua Kyra, the Lich, who apparently also used to be a Slua, my character found out, and his monster are the only ones standing in the ritual circle other than Freep. And so all of a sudden he goes, commune with circle, and locks everyone out who isn't us four. And fanaticism awakens and is like, what do you want? And he's like, well, we need this. That thing we gave you earlier? We need it back. And the Lich is not happy that you have it. He wants to go to rest. He wants us to destroy it. And fanaticism is like, but I like how things are. This town feeds me. The fanaticism gains power from how devout these people are to their Lich death god, essentially. There's a death cult that circulates around the town. The Lich himself is, got a great following among the town. So fanaticism has no desire to see things change. At which point my character figures out exactly what she needs to do. And she goes, what if someone took his place? Would you let him go to rest? And the circle kind of thinks about it. Freep conveys this, and the circle thinks about it. Goes, yes, that would be acceptable. And Freep goes, she would offer herself up. And she kind of looks at Freep and goes, you're more on the ball than I gave you credit for. And so my character essentially offers to trade places with the Lich, become a Lich herself, but she has to stay in the town and make sure that the people still follow this death culture, this fanatic death culture, and that the death cult is still active. Now she's fine with this. She has no desire to leave the town, especially if she's now an all-powerful Lich who everyone worships. So the circle dissipates. the Lich falls down dead. My character screams in agony, feeling all of the pain she will ever feel, all in a single minute, and then nothing. And her emotions are starting to fade as this pain leaves her, and she's got power. She's invulnerable. All of this hate and anger she had in her is just starting to fade away. And there's this sense of peace in dying. And the townsfolk are all very worried. Their mayor is laying on the ground dead, and my character is kind of looking at her hands and feeling her face. And she's still herself, but not. And there's some very concerned looks among the player characters. And so the monster that had been in the circle bows to her. And he says, "The mayor has died. Long live your new mayor. Long live the new mayor." And just chaos breaks out. And so throughout, like, the next few hours, we had dinner, and people tried to figure out what had happened. Sky was very, very upset that my character had no desire to change the status quo for this town. She was going to continue to let them kill themselves. And so after dinner, we go back in character. So we're going to do the closing ceremonies of this festival. And we're trying to get people to gather around the fire. The death cult is warning me that the townsfolk are trying to do a ritual to mess with me or to get my phylactery back or to hurt me somehow. They're trying to talk people into sacrificing themselves to the ritual circle to get the phylactery back, because then they'll find peace like they want to. And like townsfolk and the death cult are like, "No, we don't believe you. Only our Lich god can grant us peace, and she has not said this is a thing that's happening." It was very entertaining being all powerful and in charge. I have to admit, it was quite entertaining. I was relegated to NPC. If I ever play that character again, it will only be because they've decided to continue her as an NPC. I tend to get characters relegated to NPC status just because they are rendered unplayable. No, player characters are not allowed to be all powerful liches. It's just not a thing that happens. So the townsfolk, like I said, are very concerned. We end up gathering everyone up to the thing, starting the closing ceremonies, and my character says, you know that barrier you guys thought was erected around the town? It's not actually keeping you in. It's just a wall. But you can walk through it. So, by the way, anyone who wants to leave is welcome to go. I'm giving you a free pass to leave. I will not stop you. I have no desire to stop you. You don't want to be here. I don't want you here. Get out. If you want to stay, you are welcome to stay. But other than that, GTFO. So after that, she starts offering peace to the people who are gathered from the town to be part of this closing ceremonies. And so she calls a couple people up. And initially, I had a 5-second count. I had to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And usually I would, spout off some nonsense and then be like, fatal. And they would just fall down dead. So this happened a couple times, and then I was informed by the mod or by the people running the mod that I was just gonna now call fatals. No count required. So she's just wandering through the crowd. Fatal. 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 She asks one guy if he would find peace. He said that he would prefer to find it through combat. So she convinces this Aragma, who was one of the player characters, to come and fight this death cultist to the death. And whoever wins would be the one who found peace. And the Aragma died. It was the only player character, other than myself, who died. And so this Aragma is killed in this combat, and 2 people out of the NPCs end up surviving this little fatal. And I account that to, initially she was doing it because to indulge the town, to keep up their traditions, make them happy. But she's a lich, and death feeds her. That's why it's highly likely that that's why this festival existed in the first place, was to feed the Lich and keep him, functional and alive. And so she starts to feel this power every time she takes a life. And so, of course, she starts going more quickly and killing more people. And so that was the end of the game. My character ran around and murdered everyone. It was great fun. So one of the things I find really important when you are going to be a villain or an antagonistic person in LARP is to don't overdo it. Don't push it too far, and make sure you're checking in with your friends. You don't actually want to hurt these people's feelings. You just want to be a mean, nasty person in LARP. You don't want to be a mean, nasty person in real life. So really make sure you're checking in. Make sure at the end of game that you sit down and chat with them and be like, hey, was there anything that kind of messed you up this weekend? Like, Sky and I always have a really long talk after I betray the town, especially because he tends to be heavily involved in whatever plot I have managed to work for myself. So, I think checking in is really the most important part. If you want to be a villain, be a villain. Make sure that you're playing with plot. Don't try to run off and do something too crazy on your own, because I find that when people do side plots that are too crazy, that don't involve plot at all, partially you can get involved in something that maybe doesn't make sense for your game world, but also that's where people tend to get feelings hurt. If a couple of PCs are working against something but plot isn't involved at all, it can be pretty unsuccessful. When you involve plot, you're allowing it to be immersed into the world, and also the player doesn't feel like they were targeted if you are doing something that eventually hurts their character. So just remember, guys, if you're going to play a bad guy, if you're going to be antagonistic, if you want to be a villain, don't be a jerk about it. Make sure that you're a villain in character, but not out of character. And remember, whether you're a hero or a villain, always be excellent to each other. Bye, guys.